The galaxy watched in disbelief as a lowly human scientist held up the vial of clear liquid, declaring that the dreaded Doomsday virus, scourge of 100 worlds, had been rendered completely harmless by his team's research. For months, ever since the technologically advanced and ruthless Voth unleashed their bioweapon on a defenseless primitive planet, annihilating all indigenous life in a cruel test run, the galactic community had trembled in fear of the virus. Emergency council sessions convened, but no one dared stand against the arrogant Voth. Rumors swirled that human colonies were next on the Voth's list for cleansing. Enter Michael Hunter, brilliant human geneticist, xenobiologist, and humanity's last hope. Upon learning of the horrific virus, he vowed to find a way to stop it before countless more species, including his own, were eradicated. But the Voth's biotechnology was eons beyond anything he had ever seen. Conventional science was useless against it. The stakes were monumental. If Michael failed, it meant the end of life in the galaxy as they knew it. Entire civilizations wiped from existence. The survival of every species hinged on his ability to achieve the impossible. His team barely managed to obtain a sample of the virus from the decimated alien world, at immense personal risk and sacrifice. Now, with the Voth escalating their plans and the doomsday clock ticking, Michael worked urgently to unravel the virus's secrets in his lab. He had to find a way to disarm it before the Voth deployed their next devastating attack. The fate of the galaxy itself rested on this human's shoulders. Back on Earth, in a state-of-the-art laboratory jam packed with the most advanced scientific equipment humanity could muster, Michael Hunter pored over the Doomsday virus sample with laser focus. His team worked around the clock, fueled by a potent cocktail of fear and determination as they raced to unravel the virus's deadly secrets. Through countless experiments and simulations, a chilling realization began to dawn on them. The Doomsday virus was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Its genetic structure was a constantly shifting labyrinth, allowing it to rapidly mutate and adapt to any host species it infected. Traditional vaccines and treatments, the tried and true weapons of medical science, were useless against this viral chameleon. Michael stared at the holographic projection of the virus's genome, a twisting helix that seemed to mock their efforts. "This thing is always one step ahead," he muttered, frustration etched on his face. "It's like trying to hit a moving target while blindfolded." But then, in a moment of brilliant insight, Michael saw a glimmer of hope. What if we stop chasing the virus and make it come to us? He turned to his exhausted team, eyes alight with the fire of an idea. "We need to create an antivirus, something that can hunt down the Doomsday virus and neutralize it by matching its mutations." The team exchanged skeptical glances. Dr. Amelia Chen, the lead virologist, spoke up. "Michael, what you're suggesting it's never been done before. The level of genetic engineering required is beyond anything humanity has ever achieved." "I know it sounds impossible," Michael admitted, "but what choice do we have? If we don't find a way to stop this virus, there won't be a galaxy left to save." Undeterred by the daunting challenge ahead, Michael reached out to the brightest minds in the scientific community. At the top of his list was Dr. Evan Sorensen, his old friend and rival from university days. Michael knew that if anyone could help crack this viral enigma, it was Evan. The video call connected, and Evan's face filled the screen. "Michael," he greeted with a hint of surprise. "It's been a while. What's so urgent that you're calling me at this ungodly hour?" Michael wasted no time beating around the bush. "Evan, I need your help. We're working on a way to stop the Doomsday virus, but we've hit a wall. I have an idea, but it's unconventional." As Michael outlined his plan for the antivirus, Evan's expression shifted from skepticism to grudging intrigue. "You always did have a knack for thinking outside the box," he admitted. "All right, I'm in. Let's do this." With Evan on board, Michael launched a covert operation to assemble a secret task force of the greatest scientific minds from across human space. Geneticists, virologists, bioengineers, anyone who could contribute to the creation of the antivirus. They set up a hidden research facility on a remote, uninhabited moon, far from prying eyes and the threat of Voth spies. As the task force delved into the intricate world of viral genetics and cutting-edge biotechnology, they knew they were racing against the clock. Every moment spent in the lab was a moment the Doomsday virus could be unleashed upon another unsuspecting world. Little did they know, their efforts had not gone unnoticed by the Voth. In the heart of the Voth Empire, Antares, the ruthless leader, studied the intelligence reports with a mix of amusement and intrigue. The humans, those upstart primates, dared to challenge the might of Voth science. "How quaint," Antares mused, a cold smile playing on his lips. "The humans think they can play God." He turned to his advisors, eyes glinting with malice. "Let them try. We shall test their little toy against the full fury of the Doomsday virus. And when it fails, as it surely will, we will grind their pathetic species into dust." The Voth wasted no time in launching their next attack. A human colony, blissfully unaware of the impending doom, found itself in the crosshairs of the Voth's merciless onslaught. Warships descended from the sky like avenging angels, raining destruction upon the outmatched defenders. The ground shook and the air burned as the Voth's superior technology overwhelmed the colony's defenses with brutal efficiency. Amidst the chaos and carnage, a lone ship broke through the atmosphere, racing towards the besieged colony. On board was Michael Hunter and his team, armed with the first prototype of their antivirus. It was a desperate gamble, a last-ditch effort to prove that humanity would not go quietly into the night. As the Doomsday virus began to spread through the colony, unleashed by the Voth's malevolent hand, Michael's ship touched down. The team scrambled to release the antivirus, their hearts pounding in their chests as they watched the two microscopic foes clash in a battle that would decide the fate of an entire species. For a moment, it seemed as if all was lost. The Doomsday virus raged unchecked, consuming everything in its path. But then, like a miracle from the heavens, the antivirus began to take hold. It matched the Doomsday virus mutation for mutation, hunting down and neutralizing the deadly pathogen with ruthless efficiency. The colonists watched in amazement as the tide turned. Where once there was despair, now there was hope. The Doomsday virus, the scourge of the galaxy, had been defeated by the ingenuity and tenacity of the human spirit. News of the humans' triumph spread like wildfire across the stars. Species that had resigned themselves to extinction now dared to dream of a future free from the Voth's tyranny. The galaxy held its breath, daring to believe that the Doomsday virus had finally met its match. But the Voth, humiliated by this audacious human victory, would not take this affront lying down. Antares, his fury as cold and implacable as the void of space, vowed to crush the humans and their meddling antivirus. "The human disease must be cured from the face of the galaxy," he proclaimed. "We will burn their worlds, shatter their fleets, and erase their very existence from the annals of history. Their pathetic antivirus will be nothing more than a footnote in their inevitable destruction." The stage was set for an epic confrontation, a clash of civilizations that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Michael Hunter and his team had won the first battle, but the war was a long way to go. The Voth would stop at nothing to maintain their iron grip on the stars, and the humans would need every ounce of their courage and ingenuity to survive the coming storm. The victory against the Doomsday virus on the human colony ignited a fire in Michael Hunter and his team. They knew they couldn't rest on their laurels. The Voth would strike again, and humanity needed to be ready. "We need to scale up production, fast," Michael said, pacing the lab floor. "Every colony, every outpost, needs to have the antivirus on hand." Dr. Chen nodded, her fingers flying over a holographic keyboard. "I've already reached out to our contacts across human space. We're getting an influx of volunteers, geneticists, virologists, bioengineers. They're all eager to help." Within days, a massive bioengineering operation took shape. Factories sprang up on dozens of worlds, their assembly lines churning out vials of the precious antivirus around the clock. Michael oversaw the installation of cutting-edge equipment, his eyes constantly darting to the clock. Time was their enemy now. "Double-check those safety protocols," he barked at a team of technicians. "One slip-up and we could have a disaster on our hands." As humanity rallied, the mood in the Voth High Command was decidedly darker. Antares, the Voth leader, stalked through the halls of his flagship, rage emanating from every pore. He burst into the interrogation chamber, where the few survivors of the failed colony attack cowered. "Tell me everything," he hissed, looming over a trembling soldier. "How did those primitives defeat our virus?" The soldier stammered out what he had seen, the human ships arriving, the release of some kind of countermeasure. Antares' eyes narrowed as he pieced together the humans' breakthrough. "So they think they can outmaneuver us?" he snarled. "We'll show them the true meaning of evolution." Antares diverted vast resources to a new project. In secret labs across Voth space, the brightest minds of their species worked tirelessly to create an even deadlier strain of the Doomsday virus. Meanwhile, cloaked Voth vessels slipped through human defenses, striking at antivirus shipments. They destroyed several transports, seizing samples of the human countermeasure. In his personal lab, Antares pored over the captured antivirus. "Ingenious," he muttered, grudging respect in his voice. "But not ingenious enough." His team pushed their bioengineering skills to the limit, modifying the Doomsday virus to adapt and mutate faster than ever before. When they finally succeeded, Antares allowed himself a cold smile. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "It's time to show the humans' true power." The Voth Armada descended on a major human colony world, home to billions. Human defense forces scrambled to respond, but they were woefully outmatched. Voth dropships pierced the atmosphere, releasing clouds of the enhanced virus over cities and population centers. On the planet's surface, panic spread as fast as the virus. People rushed to distribution centers, clamoring for the antivirus. At first, it seemed to work, neutralizing the initial strains. But then, in a monitoring station, a scientist's face went pale. "Sir," he called out, voice shaking. "You need to see this." On the screens, new strains of the virus appeared, mutating faster than anything they'd encountered before. The antivirus, their silver bullet, was useless against this new threat. Within hours, the colony was overrun. Millions fell, their bodies unable to cope with the rapidly evolving virus. It was a defeat more devastating than any in human history. As news of the catastrophe spread, panic gripped human space. If this new Doomsday virus couldn't be stopped, every human world faced annihilation. In his lab, Michael Hunter received the grim reports. The weight of humanity's survival pressed down on him like never before. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenge ahead. "All right," he said, turning to his team. "Let's get to work. We've got a galaxy to save." Save. The words died on Michael's lips as he stared at the devastating reports flooding in from the fallen colony. Billions dead. The antivirus, their greatest achievement, rendered useless against the Voth's new strain. The lab fell silent, the weight of failure crushing down on every soul present. Dr. Chen slumped in her chair, her face a mask of anguish. "It's over. We've lost." Michael's fists clenched at his sides. He looked around at his team, seeing the same despair mirrored in their eyes, but something inside him refused to accept defeat. "No," he said, his voice barely above a whisper at first. "No, we haven't lost. Not yet." He stood straighter, his voice gaining strength. "Listen to me, all of you. We are not just scientists. We are the last line of defense for our entire species. If we give up now, we condemn not just ourselves, but every human being in the galaxy to extinction." Michael's eyes blazed with commitment. "The Voth want us gone, wiped from existence, but we're still here. We're still fighting. And as long as we draw breath, we keep pushing forward." His words seemed to breathe life back into the room. Backs straightened, eyes lifted to meet his gaze. "We need a new approach," Michael continued, pacing the lab. "We've been playing catch-up, always one step behind the virus. But what if we target the source of its power instead? He pulled up a holographic model of the virus. We need to find what makes this new strain mutate so rapidly and shut it down. The team sprang into action, analyzing samples from the ravaged colony. Days blurred into weeks as they worked tirelessly, searching for the key to the virus's enhanced capabilities. Alex Kovich, a young prodigy on Michael's team, hunched over his workstation, eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. Suddenly, he sat bolt upright. "I've got it!" The lab erupted into a flurry of activity as Alex explained his discovery, an enzyme responsible for the virus's accelerated mutations. Michael's mind raced with possibilities. This is it. We develop an inhibitor to target this enzyme, and we can stop the virus in its tracks. As the human scientists toiled, Antari stood on the bridge of his flagship, surveying holographic displays of potential targets. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered, a cold smile twisting his features. "It's time to break the humans once and for all." Back in the lab, Michael and his team worked feverishly to synthesize their inhibitor. The first batches showed promise, but production was agonizingly slow. "We need more time," Dr. Chen said, frustration evident in her voice. Michael shook his head. "We don't have it. The Voth could strike at any moment." He paused, an idea forming. "But maybe we don't have to do this alone." In a bold move, Michael reached out to other races wary of Voth aggression. He shared the inhibitor formula, pleading for their help in a galaxy-wide production effort. As Voth ships entered orbit around multiple human worlds, ready to unleash their Doomsday weapon, a new hope arose. Swarms of drones carrying precious cargoes of inhibitor raced to meet the threat. On planet after planet, bioaerosol clouds of inhibitor particles filled the air just as the Voth released their virus. The effect was immediate and shocking. The once unstoppable Doomsday virus ground to a halt, its ability to mutate crippled by the inhibitor. Existing antivirus defenses, previously overwhelmed, now easily eradicated the neutered threat. Voth commanders watched in disbelief as their weapon of mass destruction fizzled into nothing. As news of the victory spread, cheers erupted across human space. The tide had turned. Humanity, through ingenuity and cooperation, had done the impossible. They had stopped the unstoppable. The inhibitor's success against the enhanced Doomsday virus ignited a fire in Michael Hunter's eyes. He gathered his team, their faces etched with exhaustion but burning with purpose. "We've won a battle, but the war isn't over," Michael said, his voice low and intense. "The Voth won't stop until we're extinct. We need to end this once and for all." Dr. Chen nodded, her fingers dancing across a holographic display. "We've detected increased activity at their main bioweapons facility. If we could get inside..." Michael's mind raced. "That's it. We infiltrate, posing as salvage workers cleaning up after the virus outbreak. It's our chance to steal their research data." Days later, Michael led a small team through the cavernous halls of the Voth facility. They wore nondescript hazmat suits, blending in with the other cleanup crews. Michael's heart pounded as they approached a secure terminal. "Alex, you're up," he whispered. The young scientist's fingers flew across the alien keyboard, bypassing security protocols with practiced ease. Data streamed across the screen, a treasure trove of Voth bioengineering secrets. Suddenly alarms blared. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. "We've been made," Michael hissed. "Download what you can and let's move." The team sprinted for the exit, but a contingent of Voth soldiers cut them off. At their head stood Antares, his eyes glittering with malice. "Did you really think you could fool us humans?" he sneered. Chaos erupted. Laser fire crisscrossed the air as Michael and his team dove for cover. They fought desperately, inching their way towards escape. A Voth soldier lined up a shot on Michael. Alex saw it coming and lunged, shoving his mentor aside. The blast caught him square in the chest. "Alex!" Michael cried out, dragging the fallen scientist behind a barrier. Blood bubbled from Alex's lips as he pressed a data chip into Michael's hand. "Got it all," he gasped. "Make it count." With trembling fingers, Alex activated his communicator, transmitting the stolen data to their ship in orbit. his eyes locked with Michael's one last time before going dim. Michael's anguished scream was drowned out by the firefight. He fought with renewed fury, clearing a path for his team's retreat. As they fled the facility, leaving Alex's body behind, Michael felt a piece of himself die as well. Back at their base, the mood was somber as they analyzed the stolen data. What they found chilled them to the bone. "My God," Dr. Chen whispered, her face ashen. "The Doomsday virus was just the beginning. Look at these bioweapons they're developing." Michael stared at the screens, horror mounting with each new revelation. Viruses that rewrote DNA, nanobots that devoured nervous systems, spores that turned entire ecosystems to ash. The Voth planned to unleash these horrors across the galaxy. "We need help," Michael said, his voice hoarse. "We can't fight this alone." He reached out to the few Voth defectors who had joined their cause, seeking answers. What they learned was devastating. "Our species is dying," one Voth scientist explained, her voice heavy with shame. "Our birth rates have plummeted. The High Command believes the only way to ensure our survival is to eliminate all other races. They call it genoslaughter." Michael's fists clenched. He sent out an urgent message to every alien race they had contact with, warning them of the Voth's plans. "If we don't stand together now," he pleaded, "we'll fall one by one. This is our last chance to stop them." Slowly, cautiously, a coalition formed. Ships from a dozen different species gathered, a motley armada united by desperation. Michael stood on the bridge of the human flagship, surveying the assembled fleet. "This is it," he said to Dr. Chen. "Everything we fought for comes down to this moment." The ships jumped to light speed, hurtling towards the heart of Voth territory. As they emerged from hyperspace, the Voth defenses loomed before them, a filled wall of weaponry guarding their bioweapons facilities. "All ships engage," Michael ordered. Space lit up with weapons fire. Voth cruisers traded savage blows with the Allied fleet. Fighters darted between capital ships, explosions blooming in the void. Michael led a strike team onto the main research station, fighting their way through fanatical Voth defenders. The air rang with the sounds of battle, energy weapons discharging, the clash of hand-to-hand combat, the screams of the wounded and dying. As they fought their way deeper into the facility, Michael found himself face to face with Antares. They stood in the same laboratory where Alex had fallen, the air thick with unspoken loss. "You're too late, human," Antares snarled, raising a strange, organic-looking weapon. "Our greatest creation is already complete. Your species, and all the vermin that plague this galaxy, will be purged." Michael ducked as Antares fired, a glob of writhing nanobots splattering against the wall behind him. He rolled, coming up with his own weapon raised. What followed was a deadly dance, each combatant seeking an advantage. Antares was cunning, but Michael fought with the fury of a man with nothing left to lose. A well-placed shot sent Antares stumbling. Michael closed the distance, grappling with the Voth leader. They crashed into consoles and equipment, neither willing to yield. Finally, with a surge of desperate strength, Michael slammed Antares' head against a metal surface. The Voth went limp, unconscious, but alive. Panting, Michael activated his comms. "Station secured. Set the charges." As Allied forces withdrew, carrying the unconscious Antares, Michael watched the facility erupt in a series of carefully planned explosions. The Voth's monstrous creations and the means to produce them went up in flames. The battered fleet limped home, their victory pyrrhic but decisive. The Voth threat was broken, their genocidal ambitions thwarted. In the days that followed, Michael found himself thrust into the galactic spotlight. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive upstarts, was now hailed as saviors. Treaties were signed, alliances forged. But for Michael, the triumph felt hollow. He stood before a simple gravestone on Earth, Alex's name etched in stark letters. The price of victory deeply affected upon him. "I'll make it right, kid," he whispered, placing a hand on the cool stone. "Everything you fought for, everything you died for, it won't be in vain. I promise you that." As he turned away, Michael's gaze lifted to the stars. The galaxy had pulled back from the brink of annihilation, but dangers would always lurk in the vast darkness of space. Humanity's job as defenders had only just begun.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.